Hey everyone, Kevin here. We are going live for the sentencing of Derek Chauvin. We covered the trial results live. We're also going to cover the sentencing live. I'll also hop back and forth between CNN and Fox.
Brandon Williams, BRANDON WILLIAMS.
You may proceed.
So far, they've been Chauvin has been denied. I'm sorry. Hold on.
George Perry Floyd Jr. was murdered by Derek Chauvin in a malicious and insidious display of hate and abuse of power. Chauvin killed George. Not only did he kill George, but he also displayed a total lack of consideration for human life as he did so. You saw it, I saw it, and millions of people across this country and the globe witnessed the act of hate. A year and 1 month later, I stand there before you tasked with the duty of expressing how George's death has impacted me personally and the rest of our family. As I racked my brain and thought about what I could say today, I came to this conclusion. It is humanly impossible for me to stand here and convey or articulate the right words that would capture all that we are feeling and what we have felt over this period. So please bear with me as I attempt the impossible. The sudden murder of George has forever traumatized us. You may see us cry, but the full extent of our pain and trauma will never be seen with the naked eye. A heartbreak and hurt goes far beyond any number of tears we could ever cry. Words simply cannot express the pain, anguish, and suffering that our family and friends have endured since George's murder. It has been truly unimaginable, but not as nearly unimaginable as the defendant's decision to take the life of a human being with no regard for the effect it may have on others. Although Chauvin will be sentenced today and spend time in prison, he will have the luxury of seeing his family again, talking to them, and he will likely get to spend time with them upon his release. These are all luxuries that my young cousin Gianna was robbed of when Chauvin made the active decision to kill her father. There will be no more birthday parties, no graduations, holiday gatherings, or other family celebrations. The laughter, hugs, guidance, advice, sense of security, and those opportunities to simply say I love you are forever gone. They say time heals all, and while I generally believe that saying, it's challenging to do so given these unfathomable set of circumstances. Before I conclude, I must highlight a few things. George's murder, this trial, and everything in between has been tragic and devastating. Our family is forever broken. And one thing we cannot get back is George Floyd. It is the request of my family that the maximum penalty for the crime for which the defendant was convicted be imposed. On behalf of my family, friends, community, and supporters, I wish to express my sincerest gratitude for allowing us opportunities of expression. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Derek Chauvin was also denied a new trial, which he had and his attorneys had requested.
Your Honor, just for the record, this wonderful lady standing here is a Hennepin County victim advocate.
Ms. Boswell is well known to the court.
Yes, thank you, Judge.
And so, Your Honor, we'll next hear from the brother of George Floyd, Mr. Terrence Floyd.
Let's have a FaceTime of a. Hold on one moment.
And Mr. Floyd, if you could state your full name, spelling each of your names.
Yes. Terrence Floyd. That's TERRENCE, Floyd, FLOYD.
Go ahead.
I mean,
Prosecutors are asking for a 30-year sentence. I see the comments here and questions here. 30-year sentence is the max. Chauvin's attorneys are going for probation and time served.
2020, my brother was murdered. Everyone knows.
You could end up seeing some kind of mix in between, like a 15, 20-year and then probation period. Max would obviously be very symbolic, a very, very strong message.
This situation has really affected me and my family. any family member that has went through this, we are part of a fraternity of families, and it's not one of those, fraternities that you enjoy. I just, over this last year and months, I actually talked to a few people, and I wanted to know from the man himself why. What were you thinking? What was going through your head when you had your knee on my brother's neck? Why when you knew that he posed no threat anymore, he was handcuffed, why you didn't at least get up? Why
My
you stayed?
expectation, by the way, is that Chauvin won't say anything.
A month before my brother was murdered, I was on the phone with him, and we had a long conversation. And as I looked at the video of my niece, the last conversation me and my brother had was he wanted to
Derek Chauvin's appeal was rejected.
plan play dates with Gianna and my daughter, and we started setting it up. That can't happen. And I have to, my daughter's still young, but I still have to explain to her, because this is history. This is a case everybody knows about. So she's gonna find out, and I'm gonna have to explain that to her. And I think that's, to me, harder than even just standing here, that I have to talk to my daughter and tell her, about her niece, about her uncle, about the situation. That's basically reliving it all over again, years down the line. I'm here on behalf of my family, on behalf of me and my family, we seek the maximum penalty. We don't want to see no more slaps on the wrists. We've been through that already. In my community, in my culture, we've been through that already. Smacked on the wrist. No. Because if it was us, if the roles was reversed, there wouldn't be no case. It would have been open and shut. We'd have been under the jail for murdering somebody. So we asked for that same penalty for Derek Chauvin. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
And I'm expecting Chauvin not to say anything.
Your Honor, the final victim impact statement for the state will come from George Floyd's brother, Phalonis Floyd.
And sir, if you could begin by giving us your full name and spell each of your names. And I have permitted you to use your phone because you have notes on it. Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
All right. And you may proceed when you're ready. Giving us your full name first.
Phalonis Floyd, spelled Philonise. Last name Floyd, Floyd.
And you may proceed.
One year ago, May 25th, my brother George was murdered by Derek Chauvin and his co-defendants in broad daylight with a knee to his neck for 9 minutes and 29 seconds. I was a trucker, and immediately my life changed forever. I began to speak to the world for George from the United Nations, Africa, Canada, Japan, and so many other countries. Every day, I have begged for justice to be served, reliving the execution of George, while others begged and pleaded for Officer Chauvin to simply just allow George to take a breath. I haven't had a real night's sleep because of the nightmares I constantly have hearing my brother beg and plead for his life over and over again. Even saying, "They're going to kill me. Please, officer." Screaming for our mom. I have had to sit through each day of Officer Derek Chauvin's trial and watch the video of George dying for hours over and over again. For an entire year, I had to relive George being tortured to death every hour of the day, only taking naps and not knowing what a good night's sleep is anymore. I've been lifting my voice tirelessly every day so that George's death will not be in vain. Honorable Judge Peter K. Hill, I thank you for allowing me to share this today. George's life mattered. So my family and I, most of all, my niece, Gianna. My niece, Gianna, she needs closure. I'm asking that you please find it suitable to give Officer Chauvin the maximum sentence possible, charge that he has been found guilty for. My family and I have been given a life sentence. We will never be able to get George back. Daddies are our daughter's first love. He would never be able to walk Gianna down the aisle at her wedding, attend those.
Max sentencing that's being asked for right now is about 30 years is what's being asked for. We'll see.
Seeing her out for prom graduations, and she would never be able to have any personal memories with her father. With a smirk on his face and children present, Officer Chauvin used excessive force and acted against his training. Chauvin had no regards for human life, George's life. I stand before you today asking you to please help us find closure by giving Chauvin the maximum sentence possible, making sure he does his time consecutively without the possibilities of parole, probation, or getting out early for good behavior. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Mr. Frank.
Thank you, Your Honor. Here today, of course, for sentencing, gives us an opportunity to speak about other matters that I think are involved in sentencing and where we are in the criminal justice system in the processing of this case. As a member of an elected office representing the people of the state of Minnesota, as well as people of the local community, I want to say a couple of things. And first of all, I want to really thank some of the police officers in the Minneapolis Police Department who, under great pressure, great stress, and to some extent at peril to their occupations, what they've devoted their life to, stuck to their oath and their commitment as police officers to speak openly and honestly.
Quick note, Chauvin will have 90 days to appeal his sentence, again, to a lower court or the lower court sentencing here. So far, his appeal for a new trial has been denied.
They told this court and those jurors what they knew about training and responsibility. And I think they deserve recognition and credit for that. Would also like to thank members of the Bureau of Criminal Apprehension. You know, those agents get called in, great sacrifice to their personal lives. Whenever things happen, they go. They did that here, and under really extraordinary circumstances, completed a very professional and thorough investigation. You know, conducting interviews is hard enough, but conducting them in the atmosphere of the city following the murder of George Floyd was even more difficult. And they did so, I think, above and beyond the call of duty. And I want to thank them for doing that on behalf of the whole prosecution staff. Your Honor, I want to thank the family, the loved ones, the friends of George Floyd. They have been through so much more than families involved in murder cases. He's right. It's a fraternity you don't want to be part of. But they've been through so much more because of the pandemic and because of security, safety precautions that we've had to take. They have been through a lot. At a time when they try to grieve, like everybody does for the loss of someone, they are going through so much more. And I want to thank them, all of them, the family. The court saw a testimony from Philonise Floyd, Courtney Ross. These are people who are trying to deal with their loss, but they have to do it in a very public way and under very trying circumstances through no fault of their own. So I thank them. They have all been models of grace and understanding. And it's really remarkable, quite frankly. I'll, I think, come back to them again in a little bit. Your Honor, we have submitted a sentencing brief. I would incorporate that. I guess I would incorporate my comments today into that memo. But I do think there are things that I want to bring out today in my arguments. For hundreds of years, the court had discretion in sentencing. It was the trial court's decision on what a sentence should be. The recognition that the trial court sat through the trial, watched the evidence, and saw how it affected people, informed the court's discretion. When the legislature passed the guidelines, in a legitimate attempt to try and even out sentences, they defined certain presumptive sentences, as we all know, for typical crimes. For each crime, the typical crime. But they did not remove discretion for sentencing judges. They recognized that nobody is better suited to decide whether this is the typical case represented by that guidelines presumptive sentence, or if there are reasons why this is worse than that. And the guideline still gives this court discretion when there are aggravating factors to give a more serious sentence than what the guidelines presumption calls for. And as you know, we are asking you to do that today. As this court found, there are 4 aggravating factors that we have identified. They go beyond a list of just what those factors are. We have not just done our homework and found a list. The court made good findings, detailed findings about those factors. And we think they justify a greatly increased sentence. This is not the typical second-degree unintentional murder. Supreme Court in our state has said that, and very recently, even one aggravating factor is sufficient to go twice the top of the range. Here we have 4. The first one that the court found is an abusive position of trust and authority. And the court specifically found that when Mr. Chauvin was acting as a police officer, he had a position of trust and authority. That is certainly true. We trust police officers. We trust them when we need help. We call them for help. We trust that they're going to take care of the problems that they are assigned to deal with, right? We trust them. We also give them great authority. We give them great power. We give them power to use force that individuals would be prosecuted for using, right? We give them authority to arrest, to detain. And with great power, of course, comes great responsibility. So they're not sent out there by themselves to do this. They're given substantial training. This court saw all of that through the trial, in general and in specific to Mr. Chauvin and the other 3 officers. They're given training on the use of force, the proportional use of force. The force used has to be warranted by the threat. They're given training on de-escalation because we recognize that police officers are called in when people are not having their best day, when people might be affected by mental illness, drug abuse, any number of issues. They're just having a bad day, and they're trained for that and should be. And they're taught how to use that to de-escalate and control a situation. They're taught medical intervention. They're taught to provide medical attention to people who need it. Being a police officer is a difficult job. We ask a lot of them. The profession, there's no doubt about it. But we give them a substantial amount of training, and most officers do it right. This case wasn't about police officers, all police officers. It wasn't about policing. This case was about Derek Chauvin disregarding all that training he received and assaulting Mr. Floyd until he suffocated to death. One of the things that you heard, Your Honor, and the jurors heard that can really encapsulate, I think, a very important issue here. 7 words: in your custody, it's in your care. And it's a real simple mantra. It's a real easy thing to remember. You're going to take custody of somebody, you have to provide care. You have to do it in a caring way. You can't simply disregard their care. Mr. Chauvin abused his position of trust and authority as a police officer by doing just that, just disregarding all his training. It was an abuse of that because what did he decide to do? We often are forced in this, criminal justice system to infer people's state of mind by their conduct and their statements. What was Derek Chauvin's endgame here? What was the plan? It seems apparent the plan was hold him down until we can dump him in an ambulance and no longer have him be our problem. You recall he said to Charles McMillan, "He's a big guy, might be on something." That's it. He held Mr. Floyd down as Mr. Floyd begged for his life. He had the other officers help in that regard. And rather than doing the simple expedient of putting him on his side, he said, "Yeah, He was dismissive to that duty of care. We trust that arrestees will be treated with respect, reasonable force, and that their medical needs will be addressed. I'm paraphrasing from the court's findings. That trust was violated. We trust that they will use their authority reasonably. And this was a particularly egregious abuse of that force. Again, paraphrasing the court's findings. The typical second-degree murder does not involve that extent of abuse of a dearly held position of abuse or a position of authority and trust by the community and by individuals of the community. Honor found that Mr. Floyd was treated by Mr. Chauvin with particular cruelty. I think tortured is the right word. We know that we've all seen it. Mr. Floyd did not want to be in the back seat. That's it. I mean, that's the rub. It was the need to get him in that back seat no matter what. And
Now,
We
keep in mind, this particular assistant attorney general, well, as many, this is an elected position, so there is a little bit of, I feel like, speech giving that we're going through. Not saying it's not important, but obviously we are here to witness the sentencing, which should be happening soon. And we don't expect Chauvin to speak, though I suppose he might.
on his side in the recovery position, like he should be, because he's trying to breathe, and then quickly placed prone on the ground, face down. Mr. Chauvin put his left knee on George Floyd's neck, his right knee on George Floyd's back, face down on the pavement. Had Officer King sit on Mr. Floyd's waist area, and had Officer Lane hold his feet down. You can even see Mr. Floyd trying to pull his feet up. We all are going to fight to breathe. Everybody knows that fear when you all of a sudden realize you're having trouble breathing. It's just innate, right? We want to survive. We know we have to breathe. And there's an automatic reaction when you begin to feel like that is threatened. And you can see Mr. Floyd going through that. He tries to pull his feet up. But he's held down by these three officers while Officer Tao is looking on. Later, of course, goes to keep the people who want to help away. He's placed face down on the pavement so harshly that it rubs the skin off his face. He has injuries to his face from being face down on the pavement. He has injuries to his knuckles from just trying to lift himself up. And he's telling Officer Chauvin, can't breathe, I'm dying. And Mr. Chauvin's response was, And all this time, I mean, imagine what Mr. Floyd is going through. If you're going to talk about particular cruelty and torture, really try to appreciate what he's going through. He knows he's suffocating. We all know that feeling of not being able to breathe enough. And he's begging, he's pleading, and he's being ignored. His concerns.
I have to say, at this point, there should be like a time limit on this guy's speech. Again, it's an elected person. It's like, got it, make your point. But I feel like this is getting a little excessive.
And was suffocated.
The family didn't even spend this much time. Like, the family gave emotional testimony or closing speeches, which were very valuable. But at this point, this is just like, it's like, please vote for me or something. Like, this is ridiculous.
Jerry, gunshot, punch to the face. This is 9.5 minutes of cruelty to a man who was helpless and just begging for his life. This court found that there were children present, standing only a few feet from these officers. These children, who were ages 17, one child age 9. Why is that an aggravating factor? Well, I think everybody can figure that out. Right? It's particularly bad to commit a crime in front of children. We've heard a lot of academia about, the development of the young brain and how long it can take. And here you got a couple of teenage girls, a 9-year-old girl. How are they going to process this? Standing feet from a man being suffocated by police officers. Such a stark sight that one of the children even says, we got to call the police on the police. How do you process that as a 9-year-old? The children were not only present watching a man die. We've all seen, if you haven't, you really need to. Look at George Floyd's face. As he's dying, he's suffering. The children have to watch this. But not only that, it's police officers, and there are people around them wanting to help. And at one point, and sure, they got upset. And at one point, Mr. Chauvin points his mace, grabs his mace to keep him back. How does a child look at that? There's another officer screaming at them to get back. The typical second-degree unintentional murder doesn't involve children standing feet away watching a 9.5-minute suffocation of a man begging for his life. This court also made a finding that the defendant,
This guy is going to fully relitigate this entire thing, is he not? It's too much, man. It's too much. We got it. It's elected official here going off in really, I mean, at this point, the trial's over. Let's go. Let's get the sentencing done.
they recognized that he was pulseless, that Mr. Floyd was pulseless at one point, and really made no effort to take care of the person in their custody. Officer Tao watched most of the suffocation and then only went over to keep people from giving help. One person who is identified as a medical trained firefighter for the city of Minneapolis, that was dismissed. Like, are we going to believe her? So they kept trained medical people from providing help. These were all uniformed peace officers, adding to that abuse of trust and authority. You know, I know the defense has asked the court for probation.
All right, here we go. Let's hear it.
I'm not going to spend a lot of time arguing that. It's so outside of the realm of, I think, real possibility. This is a murder. I understand some of the arguments made on behalf of Mr. Chauvin. I understand, well, no, I can't understand what his family members and friends are going through. I can't. It's certainly not enough for a departure to probation for a second-degree murder. We believe, Your Honor, that these four aggravating factors and the findings that the court has made certainly justify an upward departure. Because there are four of them, not standing alone, but in a sense, not overlapping, but coming together to show this is not the typical second-degree murder. This is egregious. And this justifies a double upward departure. From the top of the box, which is 180 months, we're asking the court to do a double departure, recognizing all four factors, to 360 months.
30 years.
As I mentioned before, Your Honor, this is sentencing. This is the time for victims, right? This is the time for the loved ones of the victim and the community to have a say. Again, I commend this family. I commend all of the loved ones, the friends, the people that have been involved in this case for tolerating and being gracious. None of this, of course, can bring George Floyd back. That's very true. But this is the time for our criminal justice system to say, we hear you. This is the time for their criminal justice system to say, we recognize that this harm you're going through is real. And while we can't feel what you're feeling, we know we can do what your criminal justice system should do and recognize the severity of this crime and reflect that in the sentence to be given. It's time for this criminal justice system to say, we recognize this is more serious than the typical second-degree unintentional murder. For reasons the court found, reflect that and give this court more than an adequate basis to do that. Your Honor, we ask the court to impose a sentence of 360 months, commitment to the Commissioner of Corrections. As you know, Your Honor, there are no fines in murder cases. And we would ask the court just to reserve the issue of restitution. We can clarify that with the family and present that to the court for 30 days. Thank you, Your Honor.
All right. Let's get to the
Anything further
sentencing.
from the state?
No, Your Honor.
All right. Mr. Nelson. I'm sorry. Mr. Blackwell?
I'm sorry, Your Honor, just
This is Chauvin's attorney.
Thank you, Your Honor. Your Honor, at this time, the defendant's mother, Carolyn Palenti, would like to address the court.
Ooh, Chauvin's
If
mother.
you could state your full name, spelling each of your names, and proceed when you're ready.
Carolyn, Carolyn, Pawlenty, Pawlenty. I am the mother of Derek Chauvin. I am here to speak on behalf of my entire family. On November 25th, 2020, not only did Derek's life change forever, but so did mine and my family's. Derek devoted 19 years of his life to the Minneapolis Police Department. It has been difficult for me to hear and read what the media, public, and prosecution team believe Derek to be an aggressive, heartless, and uncaring person. I can tell you that is far from the truth. My son's identity has also been reduced to that as a racist. I want this court to know that none of these things are true and that my son is a good man. Derek always dedicated his life and time to the police department. Even on his days off, he would call in to see if they needed help. Derek is a quiet, thoughtful, honorable, and selfless man. He has a big heart, and he always has put others before his own. The public will never know the loving and caring man he is, but his family does. Even though I have not spoken publicly, I have always supported him 100% and always will. Derek has played over and over in his head the events of that day. I've seen the toll it has taken on him. I believe a lengthy sentence will not serve Derek well. When you sentence my son, you will also be sentencing me. I will not be able to see Derek, talk to him on the phone, or give him our special hug. Plus the fact that when he is released, his father and I most likely will not be here. Eric, my happiest moment is when I gave birth to you. And my second is when I was honored to pin your police badge on you. I remember you whispering to me, "Don't stick me with it." Derek, I want you to know I have always believed in your innocence, and I will never waver from that. I have read numerous letters from people around the world that also believe in your innocence. No matter where you go, where you are, I will always be there to visit you. I promise you I will stay strong, as we talked about, and I want you to do the same for me. I will do what you told me to do, take care of myself, so I will be here for you when you come home. Remember, there is no stronger bond or love than a mother's love. One final thought I want you to remember. Remember, you are my favorite son. Thank you for your time.
Mr. Nelson.
Hopefully, there's only one son. All right, defense attorney. Should we last
Thank
thing?
you very much, Your Honor.
Because we went from family to lead prosecutor to family to now defense attorney, and then we should be done.
I do not intend to relitigate the facts of this case,
Thank you.
nor spend any substantial time looking at the law. The court is very familiar with the facts of this case, and the parties have fully briefed the court relevant to the sentencing factors. And we recognize that in any case, any sentencing that comes before the court is tasked with a difficult job. The court must craft a sentence that serves the interests of justice, a rather nebulous term. The court must take into consideration the victim impact, public interest, as well as the circumstances and the history of the defendant. And in this case, more than any other that likely any of us have ever been involved in, that task is exceedingly more difficult. In my remarks today, I just wish to briefly address each of those three considerations, starting with the public impact. As I believe we are all cognizant of, this case is at the epicenter of a cultural and political divide. We tried to keep a lot of that out of the courtroom during the trial and make this case about the facts. But we recognize what has happened as a result of this case. There are a great number of people who will view any sentence you pronounce as overly lenient and insufficient to satisfy justice. But there are an equal number of people who will view any sentence you pronounce as draconian or overbearing. Either way, some percentage of the public will view your sentence as a miscarriage of justice. The intensity of the public interest in this case cannot be understated. I trust that the volume of correspondence that each of us has received from the public at large is indicative of these very sentiments on both sides. As I was informed just yesterday, the Attorney General's office established a website, web submission to accept community impact statements. Again, in my understanding is in a little over 2 weeks, they received over 1,000 submissions. Again, on both sides. By my very best estimate, since my representation of Mr. Chauvin began last summer, I would estimate that I have received over 5,000 emails, over 1,000 voicemails, and hundreds handwritten letters. Again, from both sides. And I expect that Your Honor has likewise been inundated with public comment and scrutiny. The impact that this case has had on this community is profound. It goes far beyond what happened on May 25th of last year. It has been at the forefront of our national consciousness, and it has weaved its way into nearly every facet of our lives, from the entertainment that we consume to the presidential politics, from protests to conspiracy theories. In the end, it is my sincere hope that when this proverbial dust settles, the community impact brings forth principled debate and civil public discourse, and ultimately leaves a positive effect on the city of Minneapolis, the state of Minnesota, and the United States. But nevertheless, while this court may consider the community impact, it is for these very same reasons that the court must turn to the foundational legal principles and remember that justice is blind. Law is built on reason and common sense, and it cannot be permitted to be assailed by public opinion. Turning to the second consideration, which is the victim impact, the death of George Floyd. The death of George Floyd was tragic. He is loved by his family members. He is loved by his friends. And his death is justifiably mourned by those whose lives he impacted. He is a son, a brother, a father, an uncle, and a friend of many. And as the court heard today, the impact and the loss of his life, simply just, it can't be simplified. And it will take time. Finally, Your Honor, the court must take into consideration, just like it has to take into consideration the aggravating factors, it needs to take into consideration the mitigating factors. And the mitigating factors as set forth by the sentencing guidelines really point to the TROG analysis, essentially, ultimately in this case. We're not going to spend a lot of time, again, arguing for a probationary sentence. That's briefed. But that being said, when we look at the TROG factors, who is Derek Chauvin? Derek Chauvin spent 19 years as a Minneapolis police officer. He loved being a police officer. I was contacted during the course of my representation and have had numerous conversations with his fellow police officers or fellow police officers that worked with Derek, some retired, some still active. And they told me that he was a solid police officer, that he did his job, that if somebody asked him to do a particular task, he never complained, he did it. One person told me that one of his sergeants told me that if I had asked him to dig a ditch for 8 hours, he would have picked up a shovel and he would have never complained for a second. He would have done his job. He was decorated as a police officer, multiple life-saving awards. He was decorated for valor. He was proud to be a police officer because what he liked to do was help people. And as the statistics show, the vast majority of police work is helping people. He was proud to be a Minneapolis police officer. He served his country in the United States Army. And he too is a son, a brother, a father, a friend. He too, his life, the life he's lived, he's not coming into this as a career criminal with 6 points, 5 points, 4 points. He's coming into this never having violated the law because he lived an honorable life and he attempted to live an honorable life. Derek Chauvin was not even scheduled to work on May 25th, 2020. He volunteered because there was short staffing at the time. I know from numerous conversations that I've had with Derek that his brain is littered with what ifs. What if I just had not agreed to go in that day? What if things had gone differently? What if I never responded to that call? What if? The truth of the matter is, and the end result is that we are here after a jury verdict, finding him guilty of these offenses. And the court's consideration should not only be focused on the aggravating factors, but the mitigating factors as well. The Minnesota Sentencing Guidelines Commission was established for a reason. And yes, the court in circumstances like these has discretion to go beyond and aggravate a sentence beyond the presumptive sentences established by the sentencing guidelines. But the sentencing guidelines don't differentiate between second-degree murders. Someone robs a liquor store, a police officer is involved in an incident, and a person dies in police custody. the law presumes, the legislature presumes that the sentencing guidelines as established is a sufficient penalty for all of the second-degree murder categories or cases you would see. From 2019 back to 2010, a total of 90 people were sentenced for second-degree murder. Those sentences, those people, there were more than that, the people who had a 0 criminal history score, more than 90 people were sentenced. 67%, or 60 of those 90 people, received a guideline sentence of 150 months. So 2/3 of all people in this same position received a guideline sentence. 20% received an aggravated sentence, 18 of the 90, and 13% or 12 individuals were granted mitigated departures. So if the legislature and the intent of the sentencing guidelines is to eliminate sentencing disparity, the law should presume that the guideline sentence is what is appropriate in this case. Judge may take into consideration at this point those aggravating factors, but you have to counterbalance them, which is the goal of the law, with the mitigating factors.
Actually not a bad strategy. He's taking a strategy of, hey, like, here's how you should consider sentencing, judge. Now, I'm sure the judge has already determined all that, but the prosecutor was really relitigating the whole case. Although maybe he was trying to create that emotion, right? Also possible, and make a statement for election purposes. We'll see how this goes.
Mr. Chauvin's family. This is a case that has changed the world to some degree, and I hope it's positive. But it's my hope that the court follows the sentencing guidelines, applies the law in a reasoned manner, and imposes a just sentence.
Actually, Mr. Chauvin, would you join Mr. Nelson at the lectern?
Here we go.
Mr. Chauvin, this is your opportunity if you wish to give any input to the court.
Let's see if he does.
So I turn it over to you and your attorney.
I expected he wouldn't say anything.
At this time, due to some additional legal matters at hand, I'm not able to give a full formal statement at this time. But very briefly, though, I do want to give my condolences to the Floyd family. There's going to be some other information in the future that would be of interest. And I hope things will give you some peace of mind. Thank you.
And I'll note that I did read your comments in the pre-sentence investigation as well.
Thanks, John.
All right, we are going to take a 15-minute recess so that I can complete the sentencing order based on what I've heard today. And let's reconvene at 2:45. We're in recess.
Come on.
All right, welcome back.
Come on. Oh, my goodness. Okay, well, wow. All right. You know, we do want to cover the market close here. So they're making us wait 15 minutes for this. That's a good one. Okay. So now we're on standby. We've listened to part one here. I think probably the way to do this is we can hop on over, or we can also just make this market close. In fact, let's just do that. Let's while we wait here for the sentencing, let's just go ahead and cover the market. We'll do that together, and so we'll spend some time looking at the market at the same time as we look at or wait for the sentencing to continue at 2:45. So with that said, I'm going to quickly change the title here. Okay, so we'll go ahead and call it Market Close, and the Derek Chauvin trial sentencing. All right, folks. So let's go ahead and get over to the sticks. And that's what we'll do. We will just make this a combined live stream. So we will be back. Chauvin sentencing. Chauvin sentencing at 12:45 p.m. Market review until then and after. So I will make a quick little banner here. Here we go. Okay, good. So we are ready to go. We are ready to roll. All right, folks. So here's what's going on. We have literally Virgin Galactic taking off and going completely to the moon here. And again, we are on a 15-minute recess on the Chauvin here trial. So we'll circle back. But we are on... wow, we are going up. We are up 40% here on Virgin Galactic on the day. This is a particular company that is expecting to take customers to space and received FAA approval to do so today. We're not exactly sure if that FAA approval is going to speed up first flight timeframes, but it's been very exciting for the stock. Virgin Galactic has done very, very well throughout the day. We started off actually up somewhere from pre-market from $40 upon the news to about $48. So we started up about 20% on the day. And that amount has since doubled. We did see Virgin go down to about 15% in the day. And it has since doubled. So we will, let's see what else we have here. Virgin Galactic really taking off very well here. We've got Nike almost completely flat today. You can see the spark line here, virtually 100% a flat here. How shorted is Virgin Galactic? That's a very good question. Let's go ahead and pull up the Black app here and see how much Virgin Galactic is shorted in the S3 Partners Black app. So I'll pull that up in just a moment. It takes a second to load. But so in the meantime, we'll keep going with some of the other sticks here. So we've got 11 minutes until the Chauvin sentencing. We've got Build-A-Bear. Build-A-Bear, I'm actually surprised. Another 10% today. Smaller market cap stock here. So we're seeing Build-A-Bear continue to move though, up to $20. I think this might be a recent high here. It is. We have hit a new high on Build-A-Bear recovery stock that has just been kicking butt. We will be going back to the trial just to listen to sentencing in about 13 minutes. Fubo TV jumping about 6% here. Ashford Hospitality up 5.5%. Brooklyn Immunology here 3.97. Honest Company 3.2. Lee Auto. So we got the Chinese autos up a bit here. Lee Auto up 3.3% here. Let's see if the Neos. No, actually, never mind. Wait, hold on. Let's go Neo. Neo down 1%. And we have, let's see, Neo. Let's go to XPEV. Xpeng's up 2.2%. So Neo not doing as well as Lee Auto and Xpeng today. Enphase has rotated down a little bit. It's almost like we had a little bit of a softening here in tech throughout the day. We saw Enphase, Tesla hit some higher levels today and have since rotated down as the day has come to a close here. We've even seen Tesla go negative, but incredibly, we've seen a lot. Tesla down 1.3% right now. Tesla at the moment over down to 670. Tesla. Somebody here mentions that Tesla gave me hope. Oh no. Yeah, let's see here. Okay. So what else do we have? We have crypto. In the crypto space, Bitcoin rotating up slightly here, slight rotation to the upside on Bitcoin at 32,300. We were dancing beneath the 32,000 line for a brief period of time this morning. Got down to a low of about 31,496. Rotating back to try to get back to our resistance level here. Hopefully go back to support level to sit on that 33. I do expect this volatility to continue, though. Check out my strategy for cryptocurrencies in another video that we posted on cryptocurrencies just a couple hours ago. SoFi Technology getting burned down about 9.9%. Dogecoin dropping back under 25. Voyager Digital and the crypto-related stocks following, like Riot Blockchain, Marathon, Coinbase, all down 2 to 4%. You see Hot 8 Mining here down 4.3%. Voyager Digital down 5.5%, sitting at 1587. GameStop and Momentum, like AMC, losing a little bit of steam here. We've got GameStop heading back to that 200 level. Let's go to the hour candlestick here on GameStop. We could see that previously we did bounce off 197. We'll see if we bounce off that today, though. We do have about 25 minutes left on the trading day here. So we'll see how this evolves. We do have AMC on the day chart here, rotating down most of the day here. We did get a lower dip here of 53.38, sitting at 53.68 right now. AMC over the last few days has been declining in volume. We zoom out day-wise here. We get a feeling of what's happening here. Yeah, take a look here. We zoom into the AMC day chart, day chart over the last few days here. We see that we're still channeling between that 61 and 51 level. We've really been stuck in this range here for coming up on 10 days now. A little bit frustrating, but you're seeing that it's an opportunity to pick up credits on certain option contracts, something we want to be careful of. We have seen the short interest levels go up on AMC today. This was exciting news for AMC. The S&P 500 can actually rotating up to its highest levels here, and intraday rotating to its highest levels as well. S&P 500 itself, if we do a quick Google here for S&P 500, it's sitting at 42,800. I'm sorry, 4,281 and 12 cents. We've got alternatively, we have the Dow sitting at 34,442. All right, taking a look again here, we've got about 8 minutes to go until the Chauvin results. So we'll take a look at the Chauvin results. In the meantime, keeping an eye here on investments. Keep in mind, we've got that 30% off coupon code, a link down below for the programs on building your wealth, stocks, psychology, money, buy, sell alerts, all that coupon code expiring within 5 days. It's next Wednesday. It's linked down below. Ashford Hospitality. This is one that just rotates up and down regularly. It's a pretty good one for swing purposes. Kind of pulling a little bit of a microvision in terms of being up, then rotating down, then going down. Let's get off the average candlesticks here for a moment. Let's go to normal candlesticks. Here you could see that up and down behavior. It does look like we are potentially breaking a downtrend on Ashford Hospitality, real estate investment company here. Real estate investment companies in general have been doing very, very well. So let's take a quick brief look over here at CNBC to see how they're covering. And then we will be going back to Chauvin in about 6 minutes. And then we'll catch the closing bell on CNBC. Let's listen in here. What's this on CarMax?
Due to the pandemic, as people opted for cars over public transportation. Total revenue for the quarter came in around $7.7 billion, an increase of 138%.
CarMax today up 6.92%.
Stock up 7%. Okay. And Credit Suisse upgrading Netflix to outperform from neutral. The firm expects subscriber growth to normalize in the fourth quarter of this year. The stock is up 2%.
Bank of America pushing back on the notion of transitory inflation today. In a new note, the firm says it expects inflation to remain elevated for 2 to 4 years, arguing that asset, commodity, and housing inflation are all deemed permanent. Joining us now for our Curb Your Inflation series is Citadel Securities head of U.S. Treasury trading, Michael DePass. Michael, thank you for joining us. It seems like nobody agrees on this inflation transitory issue. Even inside the Fed, there's a strong debate. Where are you guys at Citadel on it?
Citadel. Thanks for having me. So we have a fairly...
How do they give Citadel airtime?
Client base, and as you could imagine, there are a significant number of views around the topic. I think where we shake out on it and where the bulk of our clients shake out on it is that we're in an environment where for the first time in a very long time, you have fiscal and monetary policy really working.
Okay, say something, dude. Get it out.
And that's a very powerful reflationary force for the economy.
Dude, you didn't say anything.
But is that a long-lasting inflationary scenario?
I think there are a couple components to it. So you clearly have the transitory pressures that we're seeing now associated with...
Okay, screw this. Forget Citadel. This guy's worthless. Like, dude, make a point. Would you make a freaking point? My goodness. Jeez. You're going to tell me what inflation is? Oh, well, there's a part that's transitory and there's a part that's not. Oh, well, there are pressures. Really? How about you say something? Oh, jeez. All right. So I have to say, I mean, I'm a little disappointed here in PaySafe. It did a 10% run this morning off Wall Street Bets excitement. Did nothing after that. Virgin Galactic is clearly the cake winner here, or cake taker, I should say. Virgin Galactic rotating slightly down now towards the close here. It's not surprising to see day traders to take profits. I do think that 58 is, even 56 is a little rich for Virgin Galactic. A little rich, a lot of hope. Valuations on the moon. Stock's not on the moon yet, but a little high on the valuation. So we'll see what happens. But it wouldn't surprise me for day traders to rotate out here, although this enthusiasm could continue. And you could see a short-term rotation out of Virgin Galactic here towards the end of the day. And after hours, you could be going right back on the path to the moon. So all I know is Virgin Galactic, overall, I'm excited for Virgin Galactic. I'm tracking them very closely. Not invested in Virgin Galactic, but that's better than not having paper-handed Virgin Galactic like somebody else who paper-handed their whole portfolio after suggesting Virgin Galactic was really awesome and then paper-handed us. I won't mention any names. PaySafe, PaySafe stuck here at 9.5%. We've got, let's see here. Yeah, SoFi still rotating down the worst here. Someone here in the comments believing Proterra most undervalued. Okay. We've got Marathon. Yeah, there's continuing to see pain here in the crypto-related sector. Very good food company. Tesla down 1.5%. Amazon, PayPal also dropping about 1.3%. So some larger techs here falling down a bit. We've got Lordstown Motors getting back to $10. Peloton down about 0.6% here. FRX sitting at $11.99, slightly above its morning pricing here. It's been through a little bit of some volatility. Do have an improved merger for FRX. So I'll see what happens here with the Beachbody and bike merger. We've got going into the close here. Looks like Express is still trying to push a little bit. We do have 3 minutes until the sentencing of Derek Chauvin, which we'll be rotating right back to. And then we'll come back for the closing bell here. We've got Ubiquity at a 3.7% to the upside. Ubiquity is trying to break out again. Take a peek here. Ubiquity obviously having a very rough run here when it fell under 300. Under 300, there are, it's tempting to load onto this position. Right now at 311, you're pretty close. You're within 3% of that. But one to keep an eye on. Sonos has been a great company. Recently sold off substantially, though, really along with the entire sort of tech crash. I mean, if you align Sonos here and Tesla, you almost have a similar looking graph here. Tesla bouncing today. Let's see how we did here. Yeah, look at that. You really got, oh, wow. Look at that support line here. It's at 666 to 669 support level. The Tesla loves to stick at. Look at this. We almost ran to that 709 resistance. Looked like we hit some resistance closer to that 700 level. And now we're falling right back to that 666 level, which is a level we've been at many times before for Tesla over the last 3 months. That is a level we keep seeing to rubber band back to. Whether we go up past it to 770 and go back to 666. We go down to 550 and then we go back to 666. Very strong rubber band for either 666 or 669. Yeah, sure. Either way. All right. Yeah, you're right. They should have released the Catherine interview a little bit earlier. Thank you for the shout out there on the Catherine interview. Really awesome questions. Really appreciated that interview. I love the street. I think they do great work, and they really know how to keep the trend with articles that they're covering too. All right, so we are now 1 minute away from Chauvin sentencing. So we'll be jumping over to that in just a moment. Taking a peek at stocks just as we go into the sentencing here. We've got Bitcoin cryptos and stocks. We've got Bitcoin still on its recovery trend here. Let's look at 5 minutes here. Yeah, it's trying to recover. A lot of volatility here with Bitcoin. Again, the Bitcoin related plays also having a little bit of pain at the same time. We've got Virgin Galactic still seeing a little bit of that trader profit happening here, profit taking, but it looks like most of the market is generally keeping them afloat here at that 38 to 40%. So we've got Wells Fargo banks after the stress tests doing very well. Wells Fargo up. We've got, let's pull Citi here if we can. Citi City up 0.61. Curious how the cruise lines are. I haven't checked in with them in a bit here. How are we doing on CCL? Let's give it a look here. Carnival Cruise Lines. Pull them up here. CCL. There we go. We're at up 2.5% on the day. CLII 4.7 or 4.3%. Good mover here. Yeah, looking past some of the larger momentum that we have moving today, we have some core stocks like C3AI up 3.5%. Personally, I think C3AI is setting up for a run again. But that's okay. I don't mind it just being up 3%. If it goes down again, we'll buy a bit. We've got a very strong support line for C3AI right here at about that fifth. Well, let's see. Where did we exactly draw it? 59.47 is our exact level for this. Chauvin sentencing any second now. Still waiting for it to come back here. We've got Ubiquity, keeping an eye on this one. Enphase expecting this to be over 200 soon, though losing steam today, having been up over 180 today, back to about 174. Lemonade 111, big mover here. These are big growth opportunities. Palantir, Lemonade, Etsy, Enphase, Etsy 184 with Palantir almost back to 27 here. It's a good move here on Palantir. We do have a resistance level set at 2706. It looks like right now we bounced off 2701 for Palantir. Still waiting. Hold on, let me check over here.
Wasn't a situation.
No, still waiting for sentencing on Chauvin, though it is scheduled for now. So we are standing by for that. Coupon code is I'm not leaving. Yeah, Nick, thank you for the $20 donation on Chauvin. We are still waiting for the courtroom to come back into session here. This is outside the courthouse here. We're going to go pop on over here. Still waiting. So we'll keep it here for a moment. Okay, well, I was going to, since we were able to see the bench. Okay, fine then. I'll hop back over for a moment. All right. Watching stocks relatively stable, though, going into the close here. Relatively stable. Not seeing any kind of major moves on the sticks here while we wait for the Chauvin trial to continue. We've got Mind Medicine moving a nice 4% here. Mind Medicine, another one I'm keeping an eye on. Also, let me see Big Digital. Big Digital is one that I'm waiting for it to really get down to about $1 again. Same thing with ADA. If we break $1 on ADA or ADA, as some say, on CoinMarketCap and Big Digital, if I can get these to push under 1, these are going to be interesting times to potentially grab larger positions in crypto, as well as Bitcoin getting closer to 19. We'll see how that goes. Got a full video breaking down my crypto thesis, though. We posted it on the channel, so make sure to watch that. Arrival rotating down here. Dave & Buster's down 2.6% after I went to Dave & Buster's yesterday. And we've got still waiting. Any minute now, but still waiting for Chauvin here. Judge is taking longer than 15 minutes because he wants to... Well, maybe the judge is waiting for the closing bell. So, waiting for judge to return on a Chauvin trial. Maybe waiting for closing bell. Okay. Yeah, where's my clone when I need it, right? No, seriously, we need multiple streams going at the same time. All right, that's okay. We can cover multiple things at once. C3AI, I'm looking for movers here to look. Hey, look at Alibaba just tick up. Hey, what's happening here at the Alibaba? We got some momentum all of a sudden going into Alibaba. Hold on a second here. Let me see what's going on at if there was a news event here related to Alibaba. Hold on. Let's get Alibaba up here. Alibaba. Reminds me of Full House. Welcome to the Alibaba Hotel and Casino. We've got... No, I don't particularly see... 420, no, that's old. No, I don't see any particular news on Alibaba explaining why all of a sudden we're seeing a spike here. Alibaba has been trading down substantially for a good period of time here. Now we've been rotating down since November. So a slight little boost here all of a sudden I'm not exactly sure why this volume, look at this volume though. See this, how consistent this is? 300,000, 300,000, 300,000, 300,000. This is a hedgy or somebody buying. A whale, exactly. Like a whale coming in with a purchase here. I don't think this is trader FOMO or anything. Yeah, short interest on AMC did peak a bit. But yeah, Alibaba all of a sudden pulling here on the spark line. Trying to see if we got other movement here into the close. Macy's rotating slightly down in the close, but still up 1.21%. Planet 13. Cannabis is out of vogue at the moment. Unity falling into the close. Unity here trying to rise again. Not sure what happened here to Unity. This could also, you could be seeing ETF rebalancing here. You could be oh, here we go. Hold on.
Going back to the courtroom.
Well, first of all, I wanted to thank everybody for being here and for providing the input you did.
SoFi down 10.3% now.
Also those who provided written statements, both from the Floyd family and the defendant's family. I've read all the impact statements that were submitted earlier and listened carefully to all the input here today. And it is truly appreciated that you took the time to stay with this case and to provide me with input.
Desktop Metals is selling off for some reason.
Investigation and carefully considered all the facts of the case and the law.
Here we go.
But my comments are actually going to be very brief because most of it's going to be in writing.
Okay.
I have a 22-page memorandum that is going to be attached to the sentencing order. Wow. And why am I doing it in writing? To emphasize the fact that determining the appropriate sentence in any case, and in this case, is a legal analysis. It's applying the rule of law to the facts of an individual and specific case. And that is why, as opposed to trying to being profound here on the record, I prefer that you read the legal analysis that explains how I determine the sentence in this case. What the case is, or what the sentence is not based on, is emotion or sympathy. But at the same time, I want to acknowledge the deep and tremendous pain that all the families are feeling, especially the Floyd family. You have our sympathies. And I acknowledge and hear the pain that you are feeling. I acknowledge the pain not only of those in this courtroom, but the Floyd family who are outside this courtroom and other members of the community.
Remember, they're going for 30 years here, okay? The prosecution's going for 30, defense is going for time served.
Throughout the state of Minnesota and even the country. But most importantly, we need to recognize the pain of the Floyd family. I'm not going to attempt to be profound or clever because it's not the appropriate time. I'm not basing my sentence also on public opinion. I'm not basing it on any attempt to send any messages.
These are interesting.
A trial court judge, the job of a trial court judge is to apply the law to specific facts and to deal with individual cases.
In that case, with that statement, he could be going towards 15 years.
Mr. Chauvin, as to count one, based on the verdict of the jury, finding you guilty of unintentional second-degree murder while committing a felony under Minnesota Statute 609.19 subdivision 2 paren 1, it is the judgment of the court that you now stand convicted of that offense. Pursuant to Minnesota Statute section 609.04, counts 2 and 3 will remain unadjudicated as they are lesser offenses of count 1. As sentence for count 1, the court commits you to the custody of the Commissioner of Corrections for a period of 270 months. That's 270.
Midpoint.
That is a 10-year addition to the presumptive sentence of 150 months.
22.5.
This is based on your
dead in the middle
of a position of trust and authority, and also the particular cruelty shown to George Floyd. You were
15
granted credit for
expected,
199 days already served.
30 max.
Pay the mandatory surcharge of $78 to be paid from prison wages. You're prohibited from possessing firearms, ammunition, or explosives for the remainder of your life. Add a DNA sample as required by law. Register as a predatory offender as required by law. And then you will receive a copy of the order and also the attached memorandum explaining the court's analysis. Anything further from the state?
If this needs to be said, we just ask that it be executed forthwith.
Defendant is remanded to the custody of the sheriff to be transported back to the DOC or whichever custody is currently holding him. Anything for the defense?
No, Your Honor.
All right.
Guys going to jail.
Thank you.
So the reason I said the middle is because the usual would be 15 years. The prosecution was going for 30 years. The judge went for the middle, which is 22.5. 7 years off of what the prosecution wanted, but 7.5 years more than the usual 15 you would see. I think the judge was trying to be like as neutral as possible here. It's kind of interesting. Okay, or at least maybe he was trying to signal his neutrality. GameStop moving up into the closing bell. We got 4 minutes into the closing bell. We just moved up about what's about a 3% move here. More. This is more actually like a 5% move here, actually. All of a sudden here, GameStop, instead of being 6% down, we're getting a little bit of a run here on GameStop, which makes you wonder if we're going to see the same thing over here on AMC. Let's see here. AMC. Let's go to our average candles here. There we go. Slight run on AMC as well right now. This is going to be something to pay attention to. These have been trading down most of the day. AMC still down 4.75%, but all of a sudden GameStop running into the close here. And looking at other things that are moving into the close, Virgin Galactic still stable, Nike still stable. We're at 38%, 15% for these. PaySafe just did nothing today. PaySafe did nothing. We've got Mind Medicine, 4.5%. Ubiquities actually running tiny little bit here into the close. Yeah, a little bit of a run here into the close on Ubiquity. That's not bad. GameStop's run stable right now at that 210. So we're not sure exactly where that volume just came from. Yeah, exactly. There is a fake Kathy Wood live stream going on right now. It's just an old re-recording, but it's Bitcoin and Ethereum scam. C3AI kind of falling down a little bit into the close here. We are 2 minutes away from the closing bell. And face up 2.69%. Looking for Fubo TV, just dropped a tiny little bit. Alibaba still showing that 4% move after what looks like almost like a whale purchase here. Same thing with CRISPR. Look at all of a sudden these near end of day purchases that we've got here. Yeah, you've got CRISPR up. CRISPR moving here. Torchlight moving a slight bit here. Look at this. It's almost like purchases happened and that's it. I don't think this is like a retail driven move here. These are, for example, whales or institutions placing their bets going into the end of the day, going into the weekend. Chipotle just got a little bit of a tick up. Dropbox just crossed 30, folks. Gilead Sciences just dropped up or moved up a little bit. We just had DoorDash actually rotate down a bit into the close. Still up 0.9%. A lot of this volatility going into the close. You see a lot of these very, very strong movements going into the close here as final purchases are being made for the week. Bed Bath & Beyond rotated down. Proterra just rotated down a little bit more. We've got Square rotated down a little bit. Snowflake rotated down a little bit. Tesla down about 1% right now. Relatively flat. No sharp movement here. Trying to find AMC here. AMC still down about 5%. We had that purchase volume come in, but still down about 5%. GameStop also moved to that level here of 20 or 210 rather. Stable at the moment. This is not a sign of any kind of retail push. All right, let's go ahead and get the closing bell.
S&P 500 is going to close at a record high as long as it closes higher. Today, it's financials, utilities, and staples taking us higher. NASDAQ not quite
All right, we've got the Dow up about 0.72 for the day. S&P 500 at a record of 4281, up 1/3%. We got the Nasdaq down 0.06%. Russell up 0.07. And we've got, let's see where Bitcoin stands today. Give it a second here. Bitcoin at the close at 32,159.
Sarah Eisen and Mike Santoli, CBC Senior Markets commentator. A record close just about for the S&P 500. We did lose a little bit of steam right at the end of the session. The Dow up 0.7%. It had been briefly up 340. It shot up just for about a minute or so.
All right, let's go ahead and pull up over back to the sticks here just to see how things are going. Into the close here. Oh, you hate the weekend. Oh, well, thank you for that. Sorry, no live streams on the weekend. I know. We got to get some interviews scheduled. That's what we need. So let's go ahead and take a peek here at the closing here. Virgin Galactic stable at that 38.9. Really incredible movement here. This is actually an opportunity for Virgin Galactic to raise money. They might do that. We'll see. I mean, who knows? But it wouldn't be a surprise to me for Virgin Galactic to raise some money. I wish you all, of course, a wonderful weekend here. Use that coupon code if you haven't yet to join the programs. But beyond that, I think we've got a strong week here. You know, CRISPR just ended up about 3.37. C3AI ended up 3.49. Bought it finally yesterday. I think this weekend we really got to pay attention to crypto. If you have not watched my crypto buy video yet, I encourage you to do that. It's on the channel. We've got some movement over here on POW, ammo stock, which I love that their symbol is POW. We've got movement obviously on GameStop, pushing it up about $10 into the close. We also got a purchase here. Look at this purchase that came in on Chipotle. Ooh, I'm hungry for Chipotle right now. That actually sounds really good. I wish I was sponsored by Chipotle right now. It should just like appear, and then I could have some food. All right, what else do we have? Look, I'm very interested in these block purchases that we saw going into the end here. Ocugen got a block purchase. Roku, this is probably a Kathy Wood buy right here. This is probably a Kathy Wood. It's got Kathy written all over it there on Roku. Looking at these DraftKings here, actually looked like a block sale coming into DraftKings with a little buy thereafter. Churchill Capital falling a little bit into the close, still up 1.19%. Starbucks up 1.13%. Palantir relatively flat today. Let me see how it ended here. Bitcoin just fell below 32 again here. Yeah, Eden. It's been heartbreaking seeing what's been happening in South Florida. It's devastating to me. I've been looking into that and the millimeter shifts that they've been having since the 90s that they've seen through geological surveys and flooding risk assessments. But I am just devastated to hear about that, especially since I've lived in condo buildings like that in Florida. So it really strikes home. I've walked by Surfside many times. I grew up in Florida, so it's devastating. I think 150-ish people still missing, 156. Terrible. Matterport down 2.4% today, leading into merger talks, merger finalizations coming up here in July. We are ending the quarter, by the way, next Wednesday. Quarter 2 comes to an end, which means we go back into an earnings season. Earnings seasons are, well, I mean, every quarter, but you get big earnings in the earlier part of the quarter. Yeah, a lot of big, sharp movements here towards the end, giving you a real idea of where some of these hedge funds' heads are at. No real big movement here on Tesla. Slow bleed down about 1.17%. Tattooed Chef looks like a sale down to about $20. Cheesecake Factory had a little bit of a sell down. Doesn't surprise me that we would see Recovery do a sell down, with the exception of Nike. Nike just absolutely crushing it here. Virgin positive here in the after hours, holding on along with Express and Nike. Some of the big movers of the day here. Build-A-Bear moving up to 20. Absolutely incredible here. Maybe it's those TikToks they keep showing of people stuffing animals. I don't know. CRISPR popping a nice 3.37% as well. And phase 271 could be stronger here. And no earnings to report today on a Friday. Basically, we're going into the weekend. So I think that about does that. Let's go take one peek here at crypto again. Let's look at the crypto chart. Watch my crypto video. We're pretty much at the same position as when I posted the crypto video. So go check out my crypto video if you haven't yet. It'd be a great thing for you to wrap up on watching. Check out the course coupon code link down below. And then, folks, I think that about does it for this week of live streams. Thank you so much for coming back to the live streams. I'll be working on some new lectures as well for TA and options for the Stocks and Psychology of Money group. Thanks so much for being here, folks. We'll see you